Now let's see if the mail extension is working and whether we can actually send mail or not. So before this is going to work, we're going to have to do a few things. The mail extension can be configured in a number of different ways, but the way we're going to use it is we're going to talk to somebody else's mail server using something called SMTP, which is the Simple Mail Transfer Protocol, or Simple Message Transfer Protocol. And this is a text-based protocol that's used to exchange email between mail servers. And in this role, PHP is going to look like any other mail client or mail server that's forwarding messages to a mail server. So we have to configure mail server to accept our connections. And if you already have an internet service provider, then it's probably going to be the same SMTP server that you use in your mail client to send mail. I'm using Comcast here, and so I can send email using my Comcast SMTP server. But since everybody has different email service providers, and since configuration is a little different depending on which one you have, they all have different security restrictions. I'm going to set this up to use Gmail, which is PCC's host for PCC email, because I know everybody in this class has a PCC email address. Now there's some limitations to this, and I'll show you what those are, but it should be enough to test and make sure that everything is working correctly. So there are 3 hoops that you have to jump through before you can use your PCC email address and the Gmail server to send email. First thing you need to do is you need to set a password for the Gmail app. And the way you do that is you log into My PCC, go to the Help tab, and you'll see under Google Mail for PCC, set your Google Mail password. So I'm going to set my Google Mail password. And in this form, you just type your new password and your confirmed password and make a note of this. So for here, I'm going to use 295 test me with capital T and capital M just for testing purposes. And then I'm going to confirm 295p test me and click the change password. And I'm not going to update the site. So if you see that your password has been changed, then that means everything is working correctly. So that's the first hurdle. Now there's 2 more, and I've put links to them on the top of this lecture page. So if you scroll down a little bit, the first thing you'll see is accounts.google.com display unlock CAPTCHA. Go ahead and click on that link. And you're going to have to log into your pcc.edu email account if you haven't already. Continue. Account access enabled. So if you see this, then that means you've jumped through that hoop. And then the last hoop is this less secure apps. So PHP is considered a less secure app. And if we want to allow PHP to talk to the mail server, click that link and make sure the radio button is set to turn on. And when you change it, it'll update in place. So this is an example of using Ajax in a single page application as well. So having done that, you should be in good shape for email. Let's go ahead and try it. So I'm going to go and pull up my Share project. And I'm going to right click on Share and create a new PHP file called test email. And the first thing we need to do is we need to load the mail extension that we just got from Pair. And that's actually really easy. So let me show you one thing before I do this. So I'm going to go back to localhost, get rid of that, open the tab, localhost. And if I go to PHP info and Control F or find Pair, you'll see that there's this include path specified, which includes XAMPP PHP Pair. And this means that any extensions that I've installed into this folder are going to be accessible for including in my PHP code. And right now I should have the mail extension and any dependencies for the mail extension. So I should just be able to say require once mail.php. And that's all I need to do to load that PHP extension into my page. Now to actually send mail, I need to do several things. So I'm going to set up some handy constants. So let's give a host, and for Gmail, the host is ssl://smtp.gmail.com, and I've posted this at the top of the lecture page as well. And then I need a port, which is 465. And I'm using a piece of text here, which I think is what mail is expecting, but it will probably work if you just put a number there as well. So now there's basically two things that are required to deliver a message. You need to know the message and the message metadata, which includes the headers for the message, email headers, and you need the stuff for transporting the mail. So I've given the host and port for transporting the mail. I also need the username and password. And so the username is going to be my PCC email address. And the password is going to be the value that I just entered into that change password form. Now, by the way, this has no effect on your regular my.pcc.edu account. You can still log into my.pcc.edu using your previous password. This is a completely separate password that's just used to validate apps that want to talk to Gmail. So 295p PESME is what I entered into that form. And I think that's everything for the mail transport. So let's go ahead and add some stuff for a mail message, and I'm going to make this a variable rather than a constant. So let's go ahead and give 2. So this is going to be the person I want to send mail to. And I can also specify from. So this is who the mail is going to look like it comes from. Now, Gmail is actually going to stick your real email address in this field, no matter what you put here. But many other mail providers don't. So I can basically put whatever I want for the from field here, and that's what it's going to look like the mail came from. And I don't need to know anything about the account that I'm listing here. So it's really, really easy to forge email for with some mail providers. And I'll show you that with Comcast in a minute. So for now, I'm going to say generic share, and I'll give a bogus email address of share@share.com. And then a subject line, which is going to be welcome to generic share. And finally, a body. Oops, missing an equal sign here. So that's enough for a test. So now we need to actually set up our headers and then create a simple mail transfer protocol object and then use that object to send our mail. So let's go ahead and do that. So headers is going to be an associative array, and it's going to include all the stuff that I just gave it. So there's going to be a 2-column, oops, use single quotes here, which is equal to 2. And from and subject, and I should use constants for these really, but this is just a test, so I'm not going to bother right now. And finally, body. Actually, the body is separate, so that's not part of the header. I think that's it for headers right now. Okay, so there's my headers. Now, let's go ahead and create transport, and that's also an associative array, and it's going to have a host and a port and a username and a password and also this auth value, which is true. So that should be it for the transport. So now I'm ready to create a mail transport object. SMTP is mail : factory, and then the type of transport I want is SMTP, and then I'm going to give it my transport array, and that should be it. So factory is a static method on the mail class. It takes the type of transport I want and the configuration parameters. Then to send the mail, actually let's call this result. Result is equal to SMTP pointer send, and here I give it who I want to send it to, the headers, this array up here, and finally the body. So if this works, then result is going to be okay, and if it doesn't work, I'm going to get a pair error. So I want to check for that error and output a message. So if pair : is error, result, then echo error : dot, and then we'll get result pointer get message. So there's an error message if we had an error. Else, everything worked fine. And that should be it. So I'm going to go ahead and save that, and let's try it. So to run this script, I actually just go to localhost / /cis295p share test email.php. Let's go ahead and see if I missed anything. So I'm going to copy this URL and go there. So let me actually try signing into my email. So I'm going to create a new incognito window. So I'm not logged into anything. And I'm going to go to mail.google.com. And then I'm actually going to sign in with a different account. Add an account. mark.goodman@pcc.edu. Okay, so I'm logged in. Now, let me go ahead and try both those links again. So I'm going to copy this and go to the place where I'm logged in and paste and go, continue, and then copy this one, paste and go. That looks okay. I'm in the right account. So let's try it again. Still not working. So that's okay. And I've also allowed less secure apps. Reload. Let me make sure I typed in the right password here. So help, set Google Mail password, CIS295P test me, CIS295P test me, change password. Okay, and then make sure that that's really what I have. Oh, that's probably it, right there. Okay, so I have the wrong password. Reload. Send mail succeeded. So now if I go to my email and say get message, I have an email says welcome to generic share from, now it just, this would show generic share mark.goodman@pcc.edu. So that's what Google does. It always overrides this with the correct email address, so you can't spoof. And then 2. And if I go under more and view source, all this stuff is added by the mail transport. But you'll see the from is generic share mark.goodman@pcc.edu, and 2 is Mark Goodman. So let me show you for comparison. This is what I get from Comcast. So in Comcast, I'm going to use just smtp.comcast.net, and the port, the standard port for mail is 25, and then username is mark.goodman, and I'm not going to show you my password. So I'm going to go ahead and finish doing this and then close the file. Okay, so I changed the password. Now I'm going to hit reload again, and I got send mail succeeded, get messages. Looks pretty much the same, except this time it says share@share.com for the email. So Comcast will let me forge email, But the reason it's letting me do this is because it's a business class internet account and because it already knows who I am because I have an IP address that is served by Comcast. So it's really easy to trace me down if I do something bad. So that was sending email. So the other thing we want to do is send HTML instead of just sending text in the body here. And to do that, I'm going to go back to Gmail and change my password back. So give me just a sec to do that. Okay, so I'm back to Gmail. Now, to send HTML in the body, you first have to use HTML in the body. So let's just go ahead and add some HTML to make this text red. So let's go div style equal color red and close this off, /div. And then to make this HTML work as HTML instead of text, I need to set the content type in this header. And I also need to set the MIME type, or MIME version. So I'm going to add two more headers. First is MIME version, and that's going to be 1.0. And second is content-type, and that's going to be text/HTML. And I'm also going to specify charset is UTF-8. And this will allow me to send Unicode UTF-8 characters. So let's go ahead and try that now. So reload. Okay, mail succeeded. Uh-oh. There may be spam blocked. Oh, there we go. Just a little delay. So there's my HTML. And if you look at the source for the message, you'll see that those new headers that I added, MIME version and content type, are added to the header of the message, and then the body is just this HTML. Now you can also use this kind of technique to send multi-part messages that include attachments and embedded images and things like that. And we'll see that later on.